This is a dark, soulless place filled with scared, sad children.
They take you and one-year-old Amir and they bring you to Texas to this Dilley Family Detention Center. What did you see and what did you think?
We simply saw fences, barbed wire, and barracks.
It's the only place I can think of like it, and the only place that imprisons young kids who have done nothing wrong. Literally a 2-month-old baby, 3 or 4-year-old kids, they don't even know what's going on. They're just traumatized.
It's crazy to hold your son like this and think that for 118 days, the three of you were locked up in a prison for families in the United States.
No matter how many times I go there, I'm still taken aback by the fact that it even exists.
Alsu and Azat say they fled Russia last year, fearing that their opposition to the war in Ukraine would cost them everything.
What would have happened if you would have stayed in Russia?
If I had stayed in Russia, I would have most likely been imprisoned for 10, maybe 15 years, and my wife too.
They threatened us, saying that our son would be taken away and placed in an orphanage house and we would lose custody.
And that's because you opposed the war in Ukraine?
Yes, from the very beginning, when the war started, our position was against the war. We thought it was not right.
For weeks, they say they planned their escape in secret, selling their business, packing their bags, and leaving behind the life they had built. On September 23rd, 1 month after leaving Russia, they arrived at the San Ysidro port of entry in California and asked the United States for asylum. What happened next, they say, was nothing short of a nightmare.
We asked them, "Are we going to a detention center?" They said, "Yes, you're going to the family center. You'll be safe there." Naturally, we were happy. We thought, that's it. They're finally releasing us from Border Patrol custody. We'd be able to wash up and get something to eat because we haven't eaten anything for 5 days.
They were sent to the Dilley Immigration Processing Center.
These are the barracks. That's where you were sleeping.
1 and 2.
The largest immigration detention center for families in the country, a place plagued by allegations of mistreatment, medical neglect, and unsafe living conditions. Alsu and Azat say they witnessed it all.
So they take you and one-year-old Amir and they bring you to Texas to this Dilley Family Detention Center. What did you see and what did you think?
We arrived there at midnight. They sent us straight to the showers, all 3 of us. After we had washed up, we were given a bag containing a pair of pants, 2 pairs of shorts, 2 t-shirts, underwear, socks, and a comb. They confiscated all our personal belongings.
The way you're describing it, it doesn't sound like a place for families. You're describing something that sounds like a prison.
Yes, exactly. It was a so-called place for children. That's no place for families or children.
You left Russia because you didn't want to go to prison, yet you get to the United States of America and you end up in a place that to you feels like a prison. What was that like for you?
We came here to escape prison. We wanted to be free. But once we arrived in America, we spent 4 months in detention.
4 months in detention.
118 days, to be exact.
Gotcha! It's crazy to hold your son like this and look at this beautiful child in the face and think that for 118 days, the 3 of you were locked up in a prison for families in the United States. I cannot imagine what it was like for you.
It was very hard not knowing when they would let us go, where we would go, or if they were going to deport us.
Instead, they were released under supervision, a reminder that the uncertainty continues.
Oh, your ankle monitor is vibrating. What does that mean? It needs to charge.
Yes.
Because if it goes off, what happens?
Need more touch.
Because it was wondering where you are. You're being tracked by ICE.
Yes.
Да.
The detention of migrant families, including children, is not unique to this administration. But under Trump 2.0, the number has risen sharply. According to data analyzed by MS Now and the Marshall Project, at least 500 children, 3 and younger, have been detained by ICE since Trump returned to office in 2025. In fact, between last March and the most recent date with available data, not a single day has gone by without any babies or toddlers in detention. On an average day, 25 children aged 3 and younger are being held in immigration custody. and many have been held longer than the 20-day limit established by the Flores Settlement Agreement, the 1997 landmark case that set national standards for the treatment of children in immigration custody. Amir was one of them. He even marked his second birthday in detention. It probably wasn't much of a celebration, was it?
There was no birthday cake, no celebration of any kind, no photo. It was very painful for us as the parents of a 2-year-old.
It's true that when you wanted to give him toys, you made him toys out of rocks?
Yes, the only things he had to play with in there were rocks, sticks, and sand.
Since Dilley reopened in April of 2025 after being shuttered by the Biden administration, parents have shared dozens of sworn declarations with lawyers advocating for children's rights, describing the horrors children are enduring. One parent wrote, "Children scream and chew their nails. Many have regressed to wetting the bed again." In her own declaration, 2 months after being detained, Alsu wrote, "I am worried about my son and the effect of detention on him. He has become very aggressive. We are seeing him also start hitting himself in the face."
What's it like as a mother to watch your 1-year-old son go through that, to change, to behave in that way?
That was the hardest part. For those 4 months, all we thought about was our child, because as for us, we could have just sat there. Nothing terrible would have happened to us. But the fact that our child spent those 4 months sitting and sleeping under the lights, that was what truly drained us, both mentally and physically.
But what haunted them the most was the lack of clean water and child-appropriate food for Amir. So eventually, they say they had to hide food to survive.
They gave us dry cereal for breakfast. I'd stuff that into my hood or into my socks. We had these specific kinds of socks. That's where I'd stash it.
We'd steal beets.
We'd steal beets too, and rice. We also wrapped nuggets and napkins.
They say they were also retaliated against for demanding better food for their child.
An officer turned on the translator and told us that we were treated well, fed well, and that we were being held together. But if we kept complaining and asking for food, especially if we complained in front of other people, then they would separate us, put me in solitary confinement, and send my wife to another state and send our child to a foster family.
All because you wanted him to have edible food.
Yes, I actually have a formal complaint against this person. I think it's somewhere in my papers.
MS Now and the Marshall Project reached out to the Department of Homeland Security about these allegations, but the agency declined to answer specific questions after we refused to provide identifying information about our sources. DHS and ICE spokespeople did, however, provide statements dismissing the broader claims against Dilley as media lies and saying conditions are safe, humane, and family-friendly. We also reached out to CoreCivic, the private company that operates Dilley. In a statement, the company says it maintains age-appropriate accommodations and supplies to support the health, safety, and well-being of infants and toddlers.
The Trump administration says that conditions inside Dilley are safe and secure and families are well taken care of. Are they lying to the American people when they say that?
I would say if you put the Trump family in that detention center, he wouldn't say it is all that great in there.
How long do you think he would last inside of a detention center like that?
I don't think he can survive 20 days.
Leisha Welch is chief legal counsel for children's rights and one of the attorneys of the Flores Settlement Agreement.
How would you describe Dilley to people who have not been inside?
I mean, it's a prison. It's also very surreal because nobody expects to see children in prison. We don't expect to see toddlers and babies in prison. And it's like, no matter how many times I go there, it's hard to compute.
What types of violations of the Flores Settlement Agreement have you seen personally at Dilley?
We see children who cannot, sleep because the lights are on all night. Children don't have child-friendly food. The food's making them sick. Children don't have clean water. Children don't have the type of medical care that they need, resulting in, some pretty scary emergencies for some of the kids.
Like a case documented by Welch of a 2-year-old with an infected gum who was not treated for over 23 days. leading her to have a fever, infection, cry relentlessly, and be on a liquid diet the entire time. Or the case of an 18-month-old baby who ended up in the hospital for 10 days when her oxygen plunged to a life-threatening level.
I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this is child abuse, especially when you combine the conditions with the length of stay.
You think it's a deliberate effort by this administration to harm children?
I think that children are being harmed purposefully. I don't think it's incidental, right? I think that this sort of cruelty is part of the system that has been created.
Welch was the first lawyer to document what Alsu, Azat, and Amir lived through in Dili. Now, for the first time since their release, they're seeing each other again.
It's so great to see you both. You look so healthy, so much better than Dili.
Yeah. Yes,
How are you
right now
feeling?
better.
Yeah.
More better.
Yeah.
It's free. Bananas,
Right?
yogurt,
Bananas.
no
What was it like to see them today?
It was wonderful, to be honest. It's the first family that I met at Dili and have then been able to actually see, you know, out in the real world. And it was really heartwarming to see them, to see Amir just kind of dancing around and laughing.
I can't imagine what it was like to look at that beautiful little boy for 118 days in a family prison.
Yeah, it's gut-wrenching. It's gut-wrenching to see all the families there, but there's something about the little ones, the toddlers and the babies. They're at such an important developmental time in their lives, and 3 months for, you know, an 18-month-old is an extremely long period of time.
The American Academy of Pediatrics opposes detention of children in immigration facilities, warning that even short periods in custody can harm a child's physical and emotional health. Human rights groups have corroborated this, documenting cases of children that struggle to sleep, become withdrawn, and in some cases begin hurting themselves. It's a list of symptoms that mirrors what parents say they are seeing right now in Dili.
Shut it down! Shut it down!
But as the administration doubles down on mass deportation and detention as a tool to deter immigration, getting these children out is not an easy task.
Hey everyone, we're like 10 minutes out from Dili.
Some are trying anyway.
First of all, thank you everybody for driving, for taking a plane to come here. We're going to Dili, and this is the only place in the country where they're sending families with kids to be detained. And the first time I came here during the second Trump administration, they told me something that stuck with me, that there isn't a single criminal at Dili. So the adults and the kids that you meet, nobody has a criminal record.
For months now, Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro has made it a personal mission to free children held at Dili, visiting the facility regularly and pressing federal officials to release families. We joined him on one of his latest visits.
You go in there with the goal of walking out with some of the people who are detained there today?
That's always the goal. You know, that's always our hope and what we work for. It doesn't always happen. My ultimate goal is to end child detention. I don't think any of these innocent kids should be in detention.
We're talking, we're on this nice bus, we're here with your fellow members of Congress, but we're heading to a jail for parents and children in the United States of America. It is crazy to think about.
I mean, it's the only place I can think of like it, and the only place that imprisons young kids who have done nothing wrong. Literally a 2-month-old baby, 3, 4-year-old kids. They don't even know what's going on. They're just traumatized.
Welcome to Dili Immigration Processing Center.
Journalists are barred from entering the facility.
I'm about as close as you can get without getting inside to Dili, the family prison run by CoreCivic.
So we waited outside for the congressional delegation to come out to share what they saw.
What'd you see?
Oh, just, you know, the devastation and the trauma for those kids. You know, and some people I've seen a few times now, and you can kind of see this hope fading away from them. And they'll say, oh, I was here last time you came, and you know, I talked to your office, but I'm still sitting here for 4 or 5 months. And you know, so it's with the kids especially, it's really hard to see.
How are the conditions today compared to when you've been here before?
Well, it's, you know, there's less people right now, but it's still They try to pack 12 people per room. Folks were still complaining about the food. You know, and one of the women said that something medically is not considered an emergency unless you're bleeding.
It's what, around 300 people that are in there now?
Yeah, 390 people or so that are in there.
What do you make of that number versus the, over 1,000 the first time you came in here?
Well, first, I'm glad that it's gone down from 1,100 now to 390 or so, but you still have 93 kids who are in this trailer prison, who are being traumatized every single day, that will remember this for the rest of their life.
Back in California, Alsu, Azat, and Amir are attempting to rebuild their lives, though what they remember from Dili refuses to stay in the past.
We think about Dili every single day. We are traumatized. We got psychological traumas ourselves.
Their asylum case is still pending, but they are thankful to be free and to have what seemed impossible in detention: clean water, healthy food, and a safe place for their son to do what every 2-year-old should be able to do: be a child.
We're glad he started talking again after we were released. He started using the toilet. Of course, he's wearing a diaper right now, but generally speaking, he does use the toilet.
He doesn't get sick anymore.
Thank God.
I don't believe that any child should be in detention, and so we're going to keep working at that. We're going to keep pressing these cases.
We celebrate every release. Every release we hear about, it's a joyous moment.